Chish hati adil te katyuhan yak. Shukwaya te naka yukatangi achtuasaku haku ikiaya tu ideaya yukayitani. Yitkoha.
Ye kwati zanazun deho dointa anamasi go danagon uchtashten. Nila tora so uza gashtachet an aslan. Sadigatsi.
Chish. Smalgech. Victoria.
In dagwelwan deho godem tiben diwayu the Matthew de Shnoon Amasha we go on doiksam.
Doikson. Hat kill.
Tidasa hadala isis atlanan ash eat kurinai la hauyagan dalang talang king's ace eat kurinai la hauyagan dalang ace and eat Hangilgan Rabbi Chinodikian Yaklana Satai Udi Ejan Hat Kill Skatan Hat Kill Skatada San How
How Dekitan.
Adet. I don't really know like if we have a formal greeting, but Adet Ndad's it Gite Huth Hislan Gite Dogden.
Yake. Kulchi Shaya Hati Gudi. Achtu yake ha in hisati achuni deho. Wasa achtu yake yake ti. Kete na ya yejine shukatko uyukatangida. Ka achtu wasagu. Wuchina ya yukatish atkiyak. Gasha anikaya yiti. Ya atlain yake ati jideka pati. Yewe hatu wasagu. Klinal chaya iji kaya yiti. Kulchish. Deho, thank you for coming to be here with us. We wanted to make sure we greeted you. Zoom is the best we got right now, but we're so happy that you could spend some time with us. I really appreciate you and the work that you do for Indigenous languages and for your people. If you came to our land, we'd just pile the riches right up in your hands, but we'll do it with our words for now. And if you want to give a response, you could, and then we'll do quick introductions with folks in the class.
Segon se guegon de guana holadas. And de wana donya ji doske yung godara sviostum. Umogo honi serade. Gonto yung goda jatawe. Ne oni segon skona de wana donyos. Ne ona doske ne jini de wawanoda. Ne not ne wangwayat darork stay umogo honi serade. Ne ona yakanega di yung gori wathon gong no westerons. Ne tono lona jani. Leona, Geriwa Nekai, Tono, Skana, Ohano Tanyo Sege, Dana Oni, Engoda Gari Denyoke. Muaga Honi Serade, Dana Oni, Ohono, Iwano Hatje. Leoni, the Hino Haladas, the Ongadora, Kune, Ne Are and Wada, Don Dijadatka, Jot Kone, Genio Weza. Dana Oni got Hejeron Sera, Geriwat got Wanya, Sewa Guegon Wada, and the Wadet Nyagats there, and she's a war and gay. Ne Jini se wawanoda. E karinayo tane guane gun. So thank you for having me. I greet you all.
Yay. Let's just go one by one, folks. There's quite a few of us. But just say who you are, where you live, and put your language vision into one sentence. So just squish it in there. Go ahead. We didn't pick an order, so don't be shy.
Nilatoraya Tanakasai. My name's Nilatora. That's my Koyukon Athabascan name. I currently live on Tlingit Ani, and I'm studying the Tlingit language, learning a lot about how to teach languages. And my vision is that we can go straight from Danaka to Iyak to Tlingit without interpreting English.
Sheesh. Who's next?
I would like to translate what I said in the first go around. I said greetings. And then after that, we traditionally say Hadala Isis, good people. And the second tradition is that we state that we are happy to be here. I stated that we are very happy to be here, and that we're very happy to see you, and that we are honored with your presence, and that my name was Rob Yates. My Haida name is Duck Juice, and then I said in Haida that I will teach Haida because that is my hope and wish to carry on the language. And another way that we say hello that isn't used very often, but it's good to keep going is Kiltla, hello. And Hawa means thank you.
Kawa. Who's next?
May I go? My name is Sonny, and I am of the Kwan area here. This is the ancestral lands that I grew up on, and I grew up also on a 42-foot trolling boat. And so I also am very knowledgeable and aware of navigating throughout the Southeast Alaska area. And my father's and my parents' house is from the Big Dipper. And so in Tlingit, I would say, Sani, you chatuasach, yech na hasati ak kwan, ayayat yet to hit. And Gunis Chish, thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Here we go.
Ach, zinach sai, chukanedi, chatsati, chaikit, kunakawudach, Juno, Chatyati. My name is Kachtzin. I'm a Chukanedi from the Cedar House of Kuna, living in Juneau, working real hard to become a teacher of this language, Tlingit. Goodness, cheese.
Okay.
Nawea aya achsai. Oh, it's some Koad Lake Enach, Austin Tagban, you Hatusak. I don't know. Cook hit ye do sakwa nakahidi. Kagwantan Nakhatsiti. I don't know if I said that. I'm Nawea or Austin, and I'm Kagwantan from the Box House in Sitka, and I'm studying Tlingit.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us. Juno Dach and I had the pleasure of going to the canoe conference and got to learn some of the language similarities, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else you have to say. Thank you, and good sheesh.
Okay, let's keep it going.
Adet Katie Turner Seja Degatonistan de la Chich Nacion. My name is Katie Turner. I'm from a pretty tiny village of Holy Cross. I'm Degshanog and Gete Dogadin. Thank you very much for being here.
Claudian Ja Hatala is Nungskatas Hinu had Kilti Kiang Joe Hilaire Jr. Hinu Gats Hade Kilti Kiang Hikta Antlai Skin Clemis Dudijang Stout Tiltlaguang Antlai Etishnagan Gahias Gustudik Alagang. Hi, good people. Please excuse my Jai. Please forgive my cat. My Haida name is Nungskatas. My English name is Joe Hilaire Jr. I'm from the village of Heidelberg and Lummi Nation. I live in Juneau, and I am of the Raven side. Jahawa.
Hawa.
Yake Huasatin Deho, whoops. Sid Hartley, you do a saw kitchkan, ye chat yati, slinget you katangish do hush too. I live in Ketchikan right now. My end goal is to teach history, and I feel like the indigenous languages of the area are obviously pinnacle to being able to teach that and bringing that into the classroom. My children are Tlingit and Haida. I have gone down learning Tlingit first. My partner is of the Sonya Kwan Tekwedi, and I reside on the ancestral lands of the Sonya and Tontaquan. So I think I named my language path, and I guess the language vision would be to do what I'm told. I'm not indigenous myself, so I'm just trying to but my heart lives here because my heart is within my children, and so I want to just pass on that knowledge to my children, work to be a part of correcting some of the incorrect narratives in history classes, just to do what I'm told. Gonna teach you goodie.
Isgana playchet dus out Ignahat Tiat Juan, Eichet Shimidi, Eichet Yakahit. Goodness, cheese for being here today. I'm so looking forward to what you have to say, and it's so great to hear everybody's introduction again. Goodness, cheese.
Okay, who's left?
Kashayach Sai Kateka Kainach Frank Henry Katasu Hatuasak Chak Aya Hut Agwedi na Hatsati I hit Hidach Aya Hut Cake Kwandach Aya Hut Takwene Diadi. Hey, I'm Frank. I live in Douglas, Alaska, North Douglas, Alaska, and I think it's hard to just try to boil down what the vision is, but I study Tlingit here, and I guess my vision is to help develop a program and a school based on sovereignty and values that help raise our youth and perpetuate the language and culture here in Southeast Alaska. Good night, Chish.
Well, you need Hookyungs, Diwayu, Simshianu, Gitspujwada, Diptegu, Klinget, Ani, Dilawetgu, Aratzogu. My name's Hookyungs, David Lang. I'm Simshian from the Kilowell clan, and I'm studying our language, Samalyak. My language vision is that future generations will only see a time without language as a historical footnote.
Right on. A few left, maybe?
Lauren Framke, chut duasauk, duckdane tanai chut, gats akas gusudi kwalagen, Juno suflui jung. My name's Lauren. I'm Tlingit in Haida. And I would say that my goal is to be able to teach Haida and provide students with the tools to thrive in schools, because I think it can be hard as a Native kid to thrive in the Western school system. And so I want to be able to teach the language to help give kids a better understanding of their identity, because I think that it helps a lot for being able to thrive if you have a complete understanding of who you are and you are comfortable with that. So yeah, how
Two left.
Slau Wasong, I'll go next. Di Uhatagen Gyan Klingadagen, Yatske Di Nanu Ejan, Clarence Di Chun U Ejan, Danielle Di Au Ejung, Ted Di Hadu Ejung, Tukshake Hinu Hadkis Iskian Tlingit Di Kyaang, Sarah Yatsatai Kyaang, Gut Akas Gustu Di Kwalagen, Hikta Handleistu Di Ejung. My grandparents are Anna and Clarence Peel, and my parents are Ted and Danielle Peel. My Haida and my Tlingit name is Tukshak A, and my English name is Sarah Peel, and I'm from Heidelberg. I guess my goal for this, after exiting this language program, would be to incorporate all of my interests into what I do every day, which is science and language and culture. And going through my first few years of my science degree, I didn't feel welcomed in that field. So my goal is to create a classroom and hopefully an entire school where students can learn about any subject that they want and feel safe and included. How
Is that everybody?
Lawasang. Hatala is the langest di gudingat lagen. Sandra hinadi kyang. Hekta handleist us duijung. Stoutal tagwang handlei es us nagen. Di hatagen. Hadkis skatang. Wyatt singan hadkis gusugung. Kilang skatkeku kilang kilgungung. Tlistuan swadluan skatasang. So I said, good people, I'm happy to see all of you. My name is Sanjat. I'm from Heidelberg, but I live in Juneau right now. I'm a Haida and I am learning Haida language. Very few people speak in Haida nowadays. My big vision, I said, it is important to learn your language, and someday everyone will learn it. How?
Well, Gordon Teben, Dewayu, Ligi, Victoria McCoy, Akwani, Diwa Zogu, Ganhada, Diwa Hokshku, Hashaku, Alyak Shemalyak, Shukdine, Ada, Dim Web School. My Shemalyak name is Godem Teben, Heart of a Sea Lion. My English name is Victoria McCoy. I'm on Akwani territory right now. And my wish is for my granddaughter to know who she is and to speak her language. Lugo and Direction.
One left, maybe? No?
Hataya. Yaktushi, Yukhatusak, Nanya Ayakhat, Hitline My name is Lisa DeWitt Marino, and my goal in language is for my children to feel confident to speak their language anywhere they are.
Thanks, everybody. Teho, take it away.
Joe, you know, Guaigale, Aguahori, Genies, Wawani, your Lagare Teri. Your languages are all beautiful. I no igale, the Gadas, Guachori. Dana, ni, Tehotakerá, ni Waxanoda. Jeremy Green, young guts, Dana, go take it, you know, ni Wagade Yardum. When I got a new swag, skied Waga Tahuni, Ganyankahaga, ni Wagahunjord. So I am Tehotakerá. I am of the people of the Flint or Mohawk. I'm Wolf Clan, and my Ungwahumai name means he has barricaded himself with snowflakes. So I was born in the middle of this huge snowstorm in 1977, and so that's the family name that I was given. I grew up in a place called Tainanega, Mohawk territory. It's on the north shore of Lake Ontario, and I currently reside at my wife's community of Six Nations. It's about an hour west of Toronto, Ontario. I've been here about 20 years. I live with my wife and we have 6 children. Their ages are from 2 to 16. And I worked tirelessly so that my children would have my people's language as their first language. Not an easy task in a world where I was surrounded by English speakers, by the television, by the radio. Now it's YouTube and all these different social media outlets, and it's all it's all English. English is so powerful, and I've dedicated a larger part of my life to revitalizing my people's language and culture. And now with the support that I've had in my life and the things that I've been able to do, I'm able to help other nations of Ungwahumwe people to help meet their goals for language and culture, as well as political aspirations, land rights, and that sort of thing. To me, it's all tied together and it all goes hand in hand. So currently I am a principal of an elementary and high school. They call it immersion, but it's more of a multilingual school. So the one language is Ganyankahaga Mohawk from JK to grade 12. The second Ungwahumwe language is Gayakono or Kyuga. And that is also JK to 12. There are 150 students. The community I live in has about 14,000 Indigenous people, Ungwahumwe people on reserve. And the school is one of 3 immersion schools. The third language of instruction at our school, which starts in grade 7 for half the day, is English. So when I walk into the building, usually I'm the first one there because I'm the principal. And then teachers start to arrive and they would say, hey, Sego, huh? So we're speaking in Mohawk. And then another teacher comes in, Scanogan, and then we're speaking in Kyuga. And then another teacher comes in and maybe they're the English teacher and say, hey, how's it going today? And the students, they hear this mix of 3 languages and it sounds common to your situation, some of your situations, maybe where you are in Alaska, this it's multilingual and you're going to hear different languages. And I lived in Vancouver for a few years, about 20 some years ago when I was in school, and my roommate was Gitsan, and he was from Hazelton and he spoke his language, and your language, Tsimshan, sounds familiar to me. His family would come over and they would speak, and Mohawk and Kyuga are related languages, how Tsimshan and Gitsan and Nishka are related languages. And so I'm unsure of like your communities and the structure of them, whether they're multi-nation like mine, multi-Ungwahumwe nation, or whether you're living in I don't want to say the white settlement, but you're living in off your territories, away from your communities. You're mixed up with a whole bunch of different kinds of people in a city, and I'm unsure of where you work, whether you're in a school or whether you're at home with children, and that's how you're teaching. But what I can say about teaching and teaching your languages, it's always keep in mind the end goal. And every nation and every community and every organization, the end goal is different. And I would encourage you and your people to define that for yourself. And once you have that end goal, that mission, you know, like when you have that, and we heard this in Hawaii, Kune, that you always come back to that. Whenever there's an issue that comes up, whenever there's a challenge, whenever a parent comes along and challenges everything that you're doing, maybe people are having an argument about something, or someone walks away, or there's all these different challenges, and you always put your heads together, and you're gonna come to one mind, and you're gonna always go back to that mission while you're all there. And the very first thing I said to you today in my language was that I greet you all. It's our language, our languages that have brought us together here today. And so that's the place where we're going to draw this matter from tonight. And that's what we're going to speak about. And from there, I want to say that there isn't one way to teach your language. And when I say that you would come up with your own goal, like you shared with me, your personal goal for language, you're going to be in a community, and the language lives because it's used amongst a community of people who are striving to use the same language. And that from there, your community, your group of people, and your state of the language is going to inform what you can do, how to meet your goal. And where I am, I always think back to where does our language have a life right now? And at Six Nations, I'm very fortunate. This community is very rich in our traditional culture. It's very rich in our dynamic cultural practices. There are 5 longhouses here. They service about 8,000 people. That's funerals, deaths, weddings, births. We have a cycle of ceremonies. Midwinter lasts 7 days long. Our harvest ceremony lasts 4 days long. Our people gather, and it's always our languages that are used there. We have ceremonial feasts that are conducted in the homes, and those are always conducted in our languages. So there's this living dynamic culture that we have here, and that provides the model for us of how we interact and the types of relationships that we have where we are teaching and learning our languages. And if we think back, where else does the language have a life? Our languages had a life in the homes. Parents transmitted the language to the children. Today, that's no longer the case. It's starting to become the case again through our efforts. However, it's a school now, or a language program, or there's a foundation. They have some money. Let's learn our language. Let's teach our language. And so we would always think back to, well, what's the end goal? Where is our language going to have a life outside of our classroom? And when we can envision that with a group of people, it will really help a person who wants to become a teacher guide you to the kinds of actions that you're going to take. The other part to that is the sense of mutual support, that you're in that classroom and you have these students with you, and you're all pulling in the same direction. And you're all working together for your language. And in that teaching Haudenosaunee languages document, one of the things I try to point out is that your own language and culture holds the key to its own revitalization. Your people in your community, at your specific place, maybe in your house, in your clan, you have your own ways of raising your children. You have your own ways of socializing your own people. You have your own ways of transmitting and maintaining and growing your knowledge. And that's carried inherently within your language and your dynamic cultural practices. And maybe you're in a state school and you get this curriculum document and they say, well, we need you to teach this. And they need to know all this by the end of this grade. And you're going to look at it and you're like, why is this important to my people? Why is this important to my people? Well, they need it to go to high school. They need it to go to matriculate on to post-secondary education. And you may ask yourself, do we really need that? And I know for my people, a lot of the times, the answer is no. So the question becomes, what is important for our people to know? What is it important for our people to know how to do? And that in that way, you can have that curriculum and no one tells you how you have to teach it. They don't even tell you the type of content that you can use to be able to meet those curriculum goals. I would recommend that, encourage you to look to your own people and your own communities, and your language will hold the key to its own revitalization. We would say, it will inform and guide your thinking. So I don't want to talk too much. I'm a principal. I've been on Zoom all day. I have multiple meetings every day. And I think you read that Teaching Haudenosaunee Languages manual, and that's a collection of methods, and it's organized around a certain process, and the process is designed to give the learner an example of what it is that we want them to be able to do at the end of a lesson or a unit or a course of learning. And that example needs to come from your very proficient speakers. And maybe it's simplified a bit depending on what level the learners are at, but we need to show them this is where we would like you to be. And then we help them work towards that goal through many, many different ways. And so I've been a teacher for 2001 to 20 years. I'm 44. My first summer job was in 1992 at a Mohawk immersion summer day camp, where I was a teacher's assistant. So I've dedicated my life to teaching, and now I'm a principal. I never thought I would go into administration. You're very brave if you choose to do so. Very challenging job. Kune, is it okay if I stop there, and maybe if they have questions or?
Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your mana'o. Deho and I used to holo all around in Hilo and go find all the good coffees and all the good everything. So really wonderful to hear your perspectives. And so let's open it. Let's have a conversation. We got about 15 minutes, folks. And Kunj Cheese for taking time out of your nighttime. I always forget it's nighttime over there. So out of your evening to spend some time with us. Go ahead, folks. Chat them up. Well, I heard that cat really going, but now that cat got everybody's tongue. So just a little bit on the program. So we've got some folks in this new program, and we're trying to develop like a College of Alaska Native Languages so that we can certify and license our own teachers. And this group of students is kind of they're out of the forefront. They're the tip of the spear for that program. So a lot of them have been studying languages for quite a while. Some of them are actively teaching either art or language or culture and so, but all of them have visions of becoming future teachers. And we've talked a lot about language schools and stuff. We live in a variety of different places. Some villages that are primarily, some 80–90% indigenous, and some in cities where we're maybe 20% of the population. So just give you a little background. Anybody want to share anything or ask a question?
I have a question. Yeah. So
I wrote in the chat like kind of what my vision is to see like a boat school here, like building all the different yauk that Tlingit used, and we're people that traded all over, and there's a lot of clan histories that I found too that are about different yauk, like a bark canoe, and I know you guys, the Mohawk, use bark canoes as well, right? Is there curriculum that you built around making those at all that you guys know of, or that you know of, or?
In terms of boats specifically, I think there are 8 Mohawk communities, and there's one called Gahnawaga near Montreal, and they're on the St. Lawrence River, and they have this paddling club, a Galway paddling club. And there, I remember I did see that they had like units designed for children on paddling. And so the types of words they had, it mostly contained words, special terms for paddling, parts of the canoe, how it moves through the water, the different kinds of currents, the different thing, you know, what you find in the water, like the whirlpools and the eddies, all those different things, the different types of waves. So it described all that. What it didn't have were stories or oral histories or local histories or origin stories, or it didn't contain any of that. And if I were to redo that unit, if I was to take it and teach it, like we would probably go canoeing first and then just talk about it, right? And then bring in all the stories after and all the practices. And the other part to that is that to me, I think that the best way to learn that is by doing. And if we think school and program, we think we only have funding for a year, so we have to cram it all into 1 year. But think about if we were able to do certain things every year at the exact same times and use our language, and then after so many years, the people who are participating, they would know that language. It's a different type of approach. I would just recommend that you make your own. And as for us, there's that canoe museum, and somebody mentioned it, a canoeing conference, and they had different types of presentations on canoes. And in terms of curriculum, the resource, like, would you want it to be intended to guide your instruction, or would you want it to be designed to support learner success?
I think both. I mean, like right now I'm teaching 3 different high school classes on just how to make model dugouts right now. And it has some of the history, the background, but these kids aren't, they're not taking, like, I mean, 1 or 2 of them are learning Tlingit that I know of, but the rest aren't, you know. Then it's not something, like, you can tell that it's something they're not as interested in, but there's a whole, you know, there's a good bunch of them that really are. And that's something where I, you know, down the road, like soon, I want to see it where we're making the model and then we're making the big one, like all of them, because it's something where we use 12 different kinds of boats, bark canoes, skin boats, dugouts. There's history behind all of it, which, like, I really want that to be a main part of it, and being on the water too. But that's where we're kind of lacking, is how many dugouts we have.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, we don't have like a curriculum package. The kind of curriculum packages we have, like, if I could show you where I am, I look out and I see this huge field that's already plowed, that's ready to be planted. So we're in an agricultural area. There's a very small river. It's really muddy because the white people dammed it up and essentially killed the river. So all the units we have to do with, like, planting corn and hunting deer and everything that has to do with the woods and growing, planting medicine plants and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Sheesh.
So one thing we've been talking about quite a bit, Deho, is how you get from language teaching to language use, and do you feel like you guys have sort of made that transition so that you're using the language to teach about stuff instead of just always teaching the language?
It depends on the teachers and the individual teachers, like who would take something up. So my people have this idea that each person, individual person, is free and can choose what they're going to do for themselves. And so if you ever meet other Mohawk people, you're going to find that we're all very independent, and we want to do things in our own way. And there are some teachers now who are transitioning to kind of what you would have seen in that Teaching Haudenosaunee Languages manual, where you have some kind of experience at the start of a course of learning that puts it in your mind. It shows you the end point, and then it demonstrates or models the language for you that you can use in that activity or to achieve a certain goal. And then you would work with the students so that they improve their language ability for that specific task or function or theme or practice, like building boats. And then you would actually go and practice, like making the model, and then you would extend that learning. Maybe you meet a group of elders and you actually work on that full-size canoe. Where I am, it's slow, but it's happening. You can see people who are, and even within classroom settings, and most of the classroom settings we have are very sterile, they're very institutionalized. But some of my teachers where I am now, they're really starting to give it life, and they're using our traditional stories to do it. So it's very encouraging. There's a big shift happening right now in terms of Indigenous language education, where the expectation isn't just, hooray, we can teach our languages without being thrown in jail, or hooray, we can teach our languages and the government's giving us money to do it. It's hooray, we can teach and learn our languages at the school site, and hooray, we're starting to use the language and the practices that we're learning outside of the school. So it's coming to life again. Yeah.
Fantastic. Mike,
I was curious too about what you mentioned in the manual for preparing for task-based language teaching, because my big passion is being out on the land, picking berries, walking around. And I had a simplified idea of like, oh yeah, we'll list, 10 phrases you might use. But when I looked at your manual, there's like an extensive list of sort of like considerations, like how many people will be there, what kind of task needs to be achieved. And then in the preparation, you mentioned, people will watch videos, listen to audio of native speakers doing those tasks. So for someone who's kind of learning like me, do you have advice for like how to work up to that type of preparation?
Yes. This is where the field of language documentation ties in with language teaching and language learning. So you're in a very good position as a teacher, because you're obviously very committed to what you're doing, and you want to have the language to be able to give the students. So you have to learn first. And this is where, if you have a team of people, or if you have speakers left in your community or other communities of your same language, and you can ask them, can I Zoom with you, or can I call you, or can I come see you? Can we go pick blueberries? And then maybe you go do that with them. Or maybe you have a center that documents your language, and they've kept these short little videos of how to discuss preparing a berry basket to go and pick berries, how to decide when it's the right time to go and pick blueberries, how to decide which berries to pick and which ones to not pick. And see, these would be little like 30-second, 1 minute long snippets of documented language, and the language would be for a very specific purpose. And so if you had a series of those, you would be able to use them yourself before to learn, and then you would work with the students, and you would be learning with them. So it's beautiful. You get to learn, and they get to learn, and your speakers are included. You can even take speakers with you, right, to help, if you were that lucky to have them at an age where they could get out on a land with you. Yeah. And then the other part to that are their layers. So in my community, like if we're going to make maple syrup, we have a ceremony or we burn tobacco at the edge of the woods and we ask for everybody's safety so our students hear the words there first. Then we actually do the activity of tapping maple trees, and then we might tell stories in the classroom. We might tell local histories. The kids can share about the efforts that their family have or make. We watch little videos that are on YouTube and Mohawk about that specific task. And then we go to Longhouse and we give thanks. There's like 100 people there and you're all dancing and giving thanks and there's speeches. So there's all these different layers to the learning, and it's extended beyond the classroom. So I hope that helps you.
Hey, Laura, that's fabulous. Thank you so much for spending time with us. You know, it's great to see your face. It's great to hear Dr. Principal Deho is really just climbing the ladders, and that you keep going. And so happy for you and your success, and I hope you and your family are doing wonderful. I miss you, and it's so good that you could spend some time with us. We got 1 minute left. Anybody got one more thing? Anything else?
Frank had his hand up.
Yeah, mine might is I'm not sure how complicated it is or what the right answer is, especially since we're dealing with Canada and the United States. But I was just something that jumped out was you were talking about how the government supports your language and school development by paying you to do this, and it sort of got me thinking. Does your community have like who are they dealing with? Are they dealing with like territorial governments, or are they dealing with the government of Canada? And how is that relationship as far as like what the dynamic is as like a sovereign nation to nation, or is it going through grants, or how are you supporting language development from government funding perspective?
Okay,
Sorry,
good question.
I don't know if that's a 1 minute question.
I can stay on for a little bit if everyone's okay for me to speak to this. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. My people, the Six Nations people, in Canada, we don't have a treaty like the Western nations in Canada have a treaty. These would be the nations that are south of you, like British Columbia and Alberta, Manitoba and Saskatchewan, other parts of Ontario. They ceded huge tracts of land and agreed to settle on reserves in exchange for health, welfare, and education. But my people, we came here as a free people to where we are now, and we requested a deed from the government for land 6 miles either side of this river called the Grand River. And if you look on a map of southern Ontario, where the Great Lakes are in between them all, you'd see this river coming up 6 miles either side was ours, what's called Aboriginal title. And so this would be in the 1780s. At that time, our government, which was our hereditary council, decided to lease and rent land to create money in a trust fund, because we didn't have a bank. The Canadian government or the British government held the money for us in a trust. Well, when Canada became a nation in 1867, they took over for the British, and they took over overseeing the distribution of what's called the Six Nations Trust Fund. The Six Nations Trust Fund is what Canada used, which is our money, Haudenosaunee people's money, the Six Nations people money, to build what is now Canada. And so when I say we get funding, they administer our own money to us, but we don't have control over that. They just give us enough, and it's not even enough. They give us some of our own money, and then we use it how we see fit. And so in that sense, there's this belief that, well, it's taxpayers' dollars. Well, no, it's not taxpayers' dollars. It's actually our own money. And that's not all the schools at Six Nations, it's some of them. And so the provisions that were extended to the Western nations in their treaties for health, welfare, and education and perpetuity that the government would provide for that, they extended those conditions to us when they arbitrarily put us under what's called the Indian Act. It's like the BIA legislation in the United States. We never agreed to that. They just put us under it. And so they administer the funds similar to how the BIA would administer funds to Haudenosaunee nations in the United States. In my case, my school where I'm at is an independent private school. and it's run by a board of directors. And the money that comes from the federal government of Canada is a transfer based on the number of full-time enrollments, funding on par for each student with a student in the province of Ontario. And so that's how it works. This is the administrative end. And so my board and myself, I can decide what's going to happen in my school. If we don't need to follow the Ontario curriculum if we don't want to, and that's the provincial government. So
that was going to be my follow-up question. Perfect.
A lot of freedom. And one suggestion I would have politically, if you have a hereditary council, and they can kind of back up your efforts for language and culture on your land, that's very powerful. Yeah.
Mike Kai. All right. Well, next time we'll bring you here. Then we'll have more time. And we'll give you lots of fish and all kinds of greases to get you caught up on your hooligan grease levels. Probably running low since it's been a while since you've been to the West Coast. And we'll
you bring the syrup.
Yeah, the syrup. Big trade.
Oh yeah.
We'll still do dry fish for syrup. We'll do. We were talking, making big plans. So it's great to see you, Deho. I appreciate you and all the work that you do, and for spending some time with us. We'll I'll get your address and we'll put together a little care package to send up to you, or over wherever it is.
Awesome.
It'll probably take a month because go through all the borders and everything. So. Okay.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, my friend, and nice to meet all of you. And best of luck with your efforts.
Okay. We'll see you.
Hui ho.
Hui ho.
Cheese.
Sheesh.
Direction.
I say